Hello there, listeners. It's the final show of the Euros. It finished ages ago, boys. We're slow on the uptake.
Disgraceful.
Here. Yeah, it is bad.
It's been a long season.
It has been a long season, and we'll be back again soon. We'll give you more details about that at the end of the show.
I'll be back sooner than you two, because
you will be back. Yeah, the Championship roundup with Callum Keane. But no, we are back again. Keno's joining me. Hello, Callum.
Hello.
Welcome back. How are you?
Feeling good. Yeah.
Good. Sad about the Euros finishing, or are you over it?
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. And I'm also flanked by Jack, aka Work the Space. Hi, Jack.
Hello.
Everything all right?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, I'm now looking forward to the Olympic football tournament.
Oh, yeah, good. That is a good point, actually.
No, it's not a good point. Any deliveries coming today, or...?
No deliveries today. No pizza ordered yet.
Just checking in. Right then, folks. Now, the feature, let's be honest with ourselves, the feature over the Euros has been... I mean, nothing short but a bloody shambles.
Shambles was the word that was coming to my mind before you even said it.
We've not managed to do it enough. We had Keno not here for a few weeks. It's not panned out as I'd hoped. So what we're going to do is team the feature this week with the predictions, which gives me a chance to come back against Jack's 43-point lead. But I'm hopeful.
I mean, you'd probably have a good chance.
Indeed. So, listeners, we did our pre-Euro predictions, and we have got an adjudicator that will clarify these if we happen to be lying about them. Shout out to Jimmy B. Do you want to give a quick shout out to Jimmy B? Maybe a thanks.
Shout out to J-Dog.
Thanks, James.
Yeah. Thanks, James. Who just held them for us so we couldn't change them.
He didn't do a lot in this.
Didn't do a great deal. Last year, or 2 years ago, we had Keno to come on and reveal the predictions, didn't we?
Yeah.
Those are the days.
I've graduated.
Oh, no, what a promotion. And they'll be hoping Villa do that. Stay tuned for the Championship special coming very soon.
On my own.
Boys, do we start with... do we go in reverse order? So we go with the least sort of interesting things.
So we go with the random event?
No, we'll do that last. That's the very end, I think.
Mine's quite underwhelming, the random event.
Okay. So shall we start with England? Shall we start with where did we think England would come in the tournament?
Oh, God.
Jack, we'll come to you first.
Okay, so I've got to level with the viewers here. Okay. When I did these predictions, I tried to remain objective, and I didn't.
I know what you said, Keno.
I wanted to be objective with England, and I should have set the bar a lot lower.
I know what you've said.
I said runners
semi-finals.
up.
Runners up! Oh,
I wanted to believe.
God.
I didn't go full on deluded. I didn't go full on deluded because I said they'd lose in the final.
He said runners up.
But you can maybe guess where this is going to set the rest of my predictions. I kind of thought I'll wear 3 lions on my chest, I'll wear my heart on my sleeve, and if it backfires, I'll take the stick. Okay. And that's what I'm now having to deal with.
Many teams went out of the last 16, right? And Jack's obviously gone with England, and I cannot wait for the upcoming predictions. Keno, where did you think England would come in this tournament?
I mean, I laughed at Jack. I wasn't far off because I said semi-finals.
Good grief! Optimism in our ranks. I said we'd finish 4th and wouldn't get out. No, I'm joking. I said quarterfinals. So I actually win that one. I get the point. I'm racing back with the feature. So I get the point there.
Well done,
You two comedians.
I'm sorry. As I said, I went with my heart and not my head. I thought if it works out for me, I just look like the dedicated fan who's got everything right. No, I just look deluded.
It's worth saying all of us had us getting out of the round 16 and presumably beating Iceland. So.
I feel like I was the most... I genuinely thought if we beat the team in the last 16, we wouldn't get past, say, France or whoever it would have been. I think it would have been Belgium, actually, had we won the group. And I didn't think we'd do that. So there we go then. So, this is going to be great, Jack. Who did we have down as England's player of the tournament? Now, before we started recording, I think we've kind of agreed that we think Kyle Walker probably had the best showing of the players. Although he was poor for the Iceland game. He gave away that goal, which was a bit cheap. But apart from that, he did all right. So, Jack, who did you have for the player of the tournament? I think the winner of this point goes to the player that actually performed
England's
the best.
Player of the tournament. I said
I know what you said as well. I can see this coming now.
Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, Jamie Vardy. Oh, dear.
Saying that for gritted teeth.
He got a goal. He did all right.
He did. I mean, he got more. He did better than Rooney.
Yeah.
Didn't,
no, I don't know if he did. Did he do better than Rooney? I'm not sure.
Nah, probably not.
Okay. Keno.
This is a really depressing end to the year, isn't it?
I think he's gone for a man in goal, Jack.
No, I haven't gone for a man in goal.
Okay.
I've gone for a man who didn't trouble the man in goal once. The Deadpool specialist himself, Harry Kane.
Oh dear!
I thought he'd be our Shearer.
I feel like Vardy's the less worst pick there.
So without a doubt.
I'll bring it over to you, gentlemen. Who do you think I would have picked?
I think Joe Hart. You're a bit of a Joe Hart fanboy.
I feel as part of the ex goalkeepers union, Ben. I feel as though you would have gone for Joe Hart.
I went for Wayne Rooney.
Wow.
Yeah.
A rare show of confidence in the man from
I
from
thought
one
Rooney would perform. And I'll be honest, 2 games in, I was thinking, do you know what? And I think I'll take that as well. I'm taking the point. I think Rooney played better than Vardy and Kane. So.
Vardy scored.
Vardy scored.
I feel like Rooney was slightly better though. Overall,
sure.
I think he offered a little bit more.
Viewers decide.
Yeah, I'm not having Ben the point master here. Giving
I feel
himself
like
the points.
the issue here, Keno, is if we fight against Ben's point here, the United fans call me biased again because they always do that.
I refer you back to literally 2 minutes ago when I said to Jack, "Do you think Rooney had a better tournament than Vardy?" He went, "Yeah, probably it was Rooney actually." I know he's trying to fight it back.
But Vardy scored.
Yeah, we heard what you said before you knew I said Rooney. Okay, so 2 points to me. We'll take that. Now let's move forward. We underrated player of the tournament. Who do we think would be a bit of a star that people didn't necessarily expect to be the star? I think Dimitri Payet probably would be like the guy in this situation. Would you agree with that? No one expected too much out of him, but he was the superstar, I would say.
Yeah, no, I think that's reasonably fair.
I think I might have won this one, boys.
We'll see. Shall I go first this time?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay,
I was looking at something else. No, I haven't won this one.
Okay, underrated player of the tournament. I went with Mario Mandzukic. Never mind. No, not so good. Not so good. Jack, we'll come to you.
I went with Hennessy.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
I mean,
he got to the semis.
You were nervous though, weren't you, after the first couple?
I mean, when he got injured for the first game, I was just thinking, he's not played the first game. This has gone wrong. Like, I've picked the one goalkeeper who's going to get injured in the tournament.
Yeah. Now, Kina, can you beat Wayne Hennessy?
I was toying with the idea of Renato Sanchez for a while, and I could have won this by a mile.
But you didn't.
Instead, I went for Will Grigg.
I mean, he didn't play.
Listeners, are we giving Jack the biggest cock up with England as well as up? Poor Kino's Will Grigg.
I think Will Grigg's worse. At least England played in the tournament.
Will Grigg. Oh, this is the best part of the show.
I mean, if you put Will, we should point out there is a category coming up called overhyped player. If Will Grigg had gone in that one, you might have got the point, really.
To be fair, Jack, you get that point there with Wayne Hennessy.
I feel like I've got it through default. But he did get to a semi-final in goal, which I think
it's not bad.
Done something.
Okay, overhyped player of the tournament. We've not discussed this. I don't know who you think is the most overhyped player of the tournament.
This is a difficult one.
I'm happy with this pick.
I'm quite happy with mine as well, to be fair. We'll start with Jack. We'll not start with Jack yet.
I went with Lewandowski.
Got a goal, did he?
He got 1 goal, but I still didn't do a lot.
Quarterfinals, I'm not sure about that.
We'll see.
I think overhyped is in line with what people were expecting from him. I think 1 goal is very underwhelming.
You thought we'd see a lot more out of Lewandowski, essentially?
I did indeed.
Okay, Kino?
Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and I'll take the points right now.
Will you take the points right now?
Stunk out the place, Sweden did.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down, gentlemen, because I feel like I've got a contender. I said, overhyped player of the tournament, Thomas Muller.
Ooh.
Who was revered throughout the tournament for being underwhelming. Didn't score for Germany.
Never scored at a Euros.
I'm unsure, though, as to whether his semi-final
But he did get to a semi-final. Yeah, it's tough. Because I think
outweighs no goals, like 3 shots on target.
The thing is, though, although Ibra was hyped, I don't feel like anyone actually expected Sweden to get out the groups.
I think we did. But no, I get
did
your
you
point.
guys say that?
I'm not sure. I think we might have put them third.
We'll definitely get pulled up on Twitter. But
I feel like it's pretty close between. I feel like Muller's a pretty good shout because Muller is a superstar.
I feel in hindsight, Ben, it's quite good, but I think for sheer underachievement, or lack of any.
Who did you say,
footballing
Jack?
quality.
I think
No,
Lewandowski's
I
a pretty
don't
good
think-
one because
I
he
don't
was
think we can give
reared as this
Lewandowski.
talisman for Poland, the man who was going to carry them through.
Out of the
With
3
one
players,
goal
though,
in
he
the
scored a goal.
Yeah,
I mean,
think
is that a
Lewandowski had
gauge of
quiet-
performing though?
Yes.
I guess-
I don't feel like, for example, I think Ibra was hyped, but because of Sweden, the hype was quelled.
Okay,
I think with Muller, I don't think as an individual he's particularly hyped, particularly in the Euros where he's never scored. There isn't that expectancy on him to perform.
Boys,
Lewandowski.
we're all getting a point, and we'll let the listeners decide in the
Okay.
future because it's quite. I think we've all done quite well there. We've all picked a player that we thought would do far better than they did. Okay, then we'll move up to top assists maker. I don't actually have this in front of me, so I don't know who got the most assists. I'll quickly do it. As Kino, you talk us through your answer.
I went with form and said Mesut Ozil. Quite simply, I'm not sure how many assists he got.
Shall we
Probably
bring
not
it
that
up?
many.
Okay, assists wise. Well, okay, he wasn't in the top 5. I'll tell you that
No.
much. Okay, assists. I've got
Maybe
it
he
in front of-
maybe it might have only got one. I'm trying to think.
I did have it in front of me there. Where is it? Okay, assists. Where's it? Ozil? Oh, he's not. Okay, he's not
Is
in the
it
immediate
not?
eye line.
That'd be quite
I'll be
funny.
honest.
Oh no.
I don't know if it's 0, but he's not on the opening page that I
Okay,
have.
well we'll say we'll
Well,
agree
disregard
then.
that. If no one gets on the
Okay,
opening page, no
it's-
one deserves the point.
It's a maximum of 1. I'll put it that way. Okay, so Mesut Ozil, maximum of 1.
Who did you go with, Ben?
I went with the man that got 2 assists in the tournament,
Ooh.
which actually puts him joint third. So I went with Olivier Giroud
Oh, let's see. That's not a
with
bad
2
one.
assists. Yeah, Jack?
I went with, I don't know how many he got, Eden Hazard.
Eden Hazard equalled Aaron Ramsey for 4 assists.
Oh, well
Oh,
done, Jack.
that's-
And that is the most amount in the tournament.
I mean, I
So-
think that's 2 points.
And he actually got the best. Actually, Jack, he got the best per minutes. He got the best ratio.
There you go.
It was in fact Hazard, Ramsey, Ronaldo who got 3. Griezmann got 2. Giroud got 2. Payet got 2. There's a few other players that they'll know as well. Kevin De Bruyne and all that.
Glad I put Jack Wilshere for that now.
Quite a few got 2. Now let's change it up then and go over to goals. Who do we think the top goal scorer would be?
Oh god.
The clear winner was Antoine Griezmann.
Oh no.
With 6. I should say, actually, quite an underwhelming tournament for goal scorers. After Griezmann, there's a lot of players on 3, and then that's kind of it. So, I want to know who you put,
This
Kino.
is an
Well, it's going to be Harry
underwhelming.
Kane,
this is
isn't
an-
it?
No, this is an underwhelming prediction segment for me because I said that Cesc Fabregas would be the top scorer of Euro 2016.
I mean, can I ask what you were thinking?
Yeah. Let me clarify my thinking behind this. But I think
I mean, you're going to have some time, right? Give it 10
Well, I
minutes.
presumed after the disaster of World Cup 2014, Vincenzo Del Bosco would go back to the system that had worked so well for him in the past, which was the false 9-4-6-0, in an attempt to bring back the glory days. And I thought, there's no better man placed in that Spain setup to do that than Fabregas. He's done it before. Del Bosque likes him. So I thought if Spain... And I mean, we'll get on. This kind of spoils my other prediction, but I had them going quite far. If Spain were to do well, he would be sort of in there. But
He got
obviously,
1 assist, no goals.
it all went tits up. So.
Yeah, one assist, no goals. Jack?
I went with Jeremy Vardy.
Jamie Vardy got 1 though.
He did, so he did
So I
score. So it's not a
so I need
complete.
to tie you up.
It's not as bad as Kino's by that logic.
So
No.
what are we get? So if say for example, Jack, I had a player who also scored 1 goal. Hint.
Point
What
each.
do we base it on?
Half a point each, I think.
Goals
half
per
a point
minute.
each.
Goals per minute, because Vardy played a lot as a sub, so I like my chances.
Okay, that.
Who did you
hinders-
say, Ben?
Well, but I think we should do it for who got further in the tournament, maybe. 'Cause I said Robert Lewandowski as my top goal scorer.
So the
I
fact
think
you
we-
said he's top goal scorer, and I said he was overhyped. Surely you were overhyping him, and now you're conceding he was underwhelming. So I should get the point for the overhyped player.
I mean, based on the same thing, do you say underrated player was Jamie Vardy or something? I don't know.
No.
Okay, Jack, take the point. You want it more than me,
Yes,
so you could have it.
let's go.
Right, there you go.
I was going to fight for that point to the death.
Okay, what is it? 5 more categories to go. We've got player of the tournament coming up. We've got flop, dark horse, runner-up, and winner to go. We've also got our random event and the team of the tournament. Bloody hell, it's a good job we're doing this as the feature at the start. It's a good job the tournament was a few days ago as well because it gives us something to talk about. Right, player of the tournament we'll do next. I'll kick things off and say Paul.
I didn't give a player of the tournament. There was
I
some
didn't give a player of the
confusion
tournament
here.
either.
Did
So
you
maybe-
not?
That you
maybe
didn't
we did
write
get-
this down on our list.
Okay, well,
I
in which
believe.
case, boys, I want one of your team of the tournament players to put forward. I don't mind who you put.
Okay. I had Gareth Bale as one. So
Okay, would you have actually said Bale though pre-tournament?
He
Do you
was
think
my-
you would have if you've been
he
honest?
I've got it on my thing.
I think you would have put Cesc.
midfielder
I think you would have said
at
Cesc Fabregas. Technically, I put Pogba. So
I had Eden Hazard down in my team of the tournament, and I probably would have said Hazard as well.
okay, I said Pogba. Out of those selections, Hazard came 6th, Bale came 3rd, and Pogba came 9th.
Bale's probably got it, hasn't he? I think.
Yeah, Bale's probably nicked it, though Keno didn't actually put one down. So I feel like we have to go null and void on that one, boys.
Yeah,
I'm just
null and
saying.
void. I like it.
Even
No,
did
we're
Jack.
still on
No,
0
I'm-
points.
Exactly,
Salah.
neither of you two did, so we have to null and void it because you just picked players. Unless I take the point because I actually gave an answer. Right then, we'll carry on.
Keo's not. He sat silently shaking his head. I can imagine it. Disgust.
We'll go to Dark Horse. You have half a point, Keno, in your own mind. We'll go to Dark Horse. Now, this is where I have. Oh, dearie me.
Do horses drown? Because mine didn't get swim very far.
Jack, who did you have?
Well, I've mentioned horses. Keeping on the animal theme, I may have had turkey down as my dark horse.
Oh, dear.
Not a good one.
Is that worse than Cesc Fabregas?
I thought a dark horse meant someone who sank and just didn't do very well.
I think it's worse than Cesc Fabregas. It's not as bad
hang on.
as England.
Let's stop a minute. Jack, Dark Horse, the team that you think
The
will
underdogs.
do well.
I know. I'm trying to play it stupid to get out of my answer sounding so bad.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
no getting out of that one. mate.
Croatia.
No
Croatia
getting
is
out of that
dark. Croatia was mine. Sorry, I said Croatia. So Jack said Turkey. I said Croatia. Looked good. Looked very good until they faced the brick wall that was Portugal, and it was just
one.
ruined
In
instantly.
hindsight, no blame
Yeah.
attached. to that
I feel like I did quite a good job, but to be fair, my dark horse lost to the winners.
So, Keno,
So
who was your dark horse?
Can I have a point for Italy here? Because I feel they brought a lot to the tournament.
well, hang on.
They-
Did you say Italy?
Yes.
Did you have
Italy-
another answer written down?
No. You can check with
Keno,
Jim.
did you have
Italy
another-
were my dark horse.
Italy.
I feel like that's a weird dark horse to put down because they didn't.
No, they weren't fancied before the tournament, though. You
I
can't
think they
deny
were
it.
expected to get to like a semi-final if England were.
I
feel
don't know
as
if we
though
give it
they've,
to him. Listeners, do we give that to him?
I think Croatia, mate. I don't know. I don't think any
Do
of
you,
ours were
Jack?
particularly dark horses,
No.
if I'm honest.
Should we just take a point each again? Right, no, all right, Keno, you can have it. I'll give you it because you've
can't
got
win
no
anyway,
points yet,
so there
so
you
you
go.
can't win. Okay, so we'll move on to. So that's our dark horse: Croatia, Italy, and Turkey. Flop of the tournament.
I like
Keno.
my chances here.
Keno, flop of the tournament.
my
I actually
flop-
wrote something for this. I didn't just write a single name. I had an explanation.
My flop of the tournament were Belgium. Now I don't know if they count as a flop. I think quarterfinals is underachieving for them this tournament.
Okay.
I feel
Jack?
I've done okay here. If not,
I had a
if not,
team who
you know.
went out in the round of 16. I had Spain down as my
That's
flop.
good. That's good. I'll tell you what, I'll give you that. That's probably going to win. I wrote Germany, but then I prefaced it with, I also think Belgium will start slowly and never recover, but Germany going out to the first round knockouts will be a bigger shock. I thought they'd lose to Switzerland, but they didn't end up playing Switzerland, so that didn't happen.
work.
No, because they didn't. Because I thought they would play. I thought Poland would top the group, Lewandowski top goal scorer, and then Germany would have to play Switzerland, and that's how it would have developed.
Yeah.
But no, didn't happen. But I also said Belgium. I didn't think Belgium would do it. I thought,
Many things
yeah.
didn't happen at this tournament, Ben.
Yeah.
So-
Okay.
Goals is
we've
one
got
of them.
a few
Yeah.
more to go then. Right. Let's go for runners up, and then we'll reveal
I mean,
winner.
I've
I'm just
already
going to
said
kick
my
things up.
runner-up. It's England.
Yeah.
England. Let's revisit it. Let's reopen the
I just
wound.
thought mine's really bad, and then you've reminded me that you said England and mine ain't that bad, actually. I backed Croatia, and that will now reveal to some people who I backed as winner, but I said Croatia would be the runners-up. Keno?
Runners up for me were Spain. I've not done well.
Wow. That's Spain.
I came in quite confident that they would at least, if not replicate their sort of heroics of the last three tournaments, they'd at least get to a certain point.
You were very wrong, though.
No, I was.
Yeah. It's Joker thinking Spain could get that far. Jack? Winner.
France.
I mean, that's not bad. I mean,
It's not, but I'm annoyed they
it's
didn't
easy,
win.
But it's not bad. I guess you didn't have Portugal, Keno.
No.
So you had. I can't make this out.
It's Spain.
Germany.
Germany. Well,
So where did you think Spain were
semi-finals.
coming?
Keno thought Spain were running up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you did. Brain not working.
Yeah.
What an idiot Keno is, because I thought
know.
Spain would win it.
Oh,
Oh, God.
Ben!
I thought Fabregas
no.
would be top assist. No, I didn't think that. But no, I thought Spain would win it. I thought their route to it would be quite easy. I thought they'd beat Belgium, but then Italy messed everything up by performing.
I think the
did.
fact you guys
just-
have backed Spain so bad and I called them out as a flop makes me feel a little bit better.
You did say England runner-up.
I mean, I did.
but yeah.
We're not going to let that one quietly
So
go.
I thought Spain would win. I don't think many people have Portugal, so we can't feel too bad about it. But yeah, Spain under arms. I've sort of quietly been hushed-toed, but I agree with you. I thought Del Bosque would go back to the false nine thing and actually then just wouldn't play a striker. But then I think...
And I think... I guess this tournament kind of showed there weren't that many talented teams there, and I thought even a Spain at about maybe 80% of what they used to be could do okay.
Yeah.
If not, sort of win it.
So do I get a point for that saying France? Because I mean, they reached the final.
Yeah. Another point for Jack. Well done, mate.
Yeah, well done, Jack.
Team of the tournament is where it falls down for me.
Well done, Jack. Yeah.
Well, team of the tournament, Keno didn't take part in properly.
Keno, please explain in 10 words why you didn't do a team of the tournament when requested.
Because I felt going through every player of the 11,
Right,
33 players in all,
continue.
would not make for a very good podcast. And it also was a bit of a silly exercise because there are so many variations. So I picked one player from each position.
The fun is, though,
who I
being
thought,
wrong.
Yeah, it's all right, though, everyone. Keno just doesn't like
we can pick...
Yeah,
Ben, we can pick
fun.
one player from each position of our team of the tournament and submit
I'm
it in
a
a
Villa
Keno
fan.
manner.
proven not to like fun. So.
Keno, who did you have as your goalkeeper of the tournament?
Manuel Neuer, who actually, although they got far, I thought was pretty poor for Germany. In all
Yeah, he was.
honesty.
I enjoyed when he conceded the
Uncharacteristically
second goal and then appealed for.
Well, can we not
free
talk about
kick.
it so much, please? This would be boring for listeners, maybe.
One player, it's fine.
Jack, keeper.
Keeper Wayne Hennessy.
All right, I win this one then because I said Lloris.
I'm gonna give you that. He was
Yeah,
solid
so I
for
love
that.
So we're just going to pick one player, are we, Jack? We're just going to pick our best player.
Yeah, I think from now on we just pick one player.
All right, I'm going to go with Lauren Koscielny. Got to a final.
Yeah.
I also had Jordi Alba and Gerard Piqué as part of the Spanish.
I think I win this one. I think I win this one because I said Pepe, who won the damn thing.
Yeah, it's not
So-
bad.
I mean, I said Rami.
I just realised I had Piqué and Alba. This was a Spain shit show for me. But yeah, never mind. Midfielders, I'll go Pogba again because I'd already said Pogba. But I had Rakitic and Iniesta with him. No, didn't happen.
Gareth Bale.
Yeah, we'll give you that.
Team of
And
the tournament. See,
Jack?
I thought these through.
Hazard.
Sure. Hazard, yeah, all right. You were sticking with that one, aren't you? 'Cause
Yeah,
you've got
that
assists.
was my constant.
I'm looking forward to the random.
I've got to
go on.
confess, with my team of the tournament, I imagined us doing a 4-2-3-1, and I feel like you guys probably did a 4-3-3.
Yeah, I
I feel
did.
like that's how it was listed, so now I feel a little bit bad. But
Okay.
I don't feel. I'm counting Hazard. He was my left winger. I only
He's a
picked one
forward.
striker, so this is where it goes all tits up, isn't
Okay.
it?
Who was
'Cause
your striker?
Well, you know who it is. I'll say it the same way I've said it
Jamie
twice already.
Vardy?
Jamie Vardy.
Okay. Now,
Jamie,
interestingly,
can I just say, Jamie Vardy, look, mate, I believed in the fairy tale. I believed in the England dream.
Yeah,
of
what are they
getting
gonna do
getting to
about
the
the
final and
Euros?
losing?
What are they going to do about the Euros and the Jamie Vardy movie?
Didn't
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Didn't
not
happen.
happening now, is it? They're
Didn't
going to
happen.
end at the wedding, and that's
he didn't
that.
get called. He didn't get called up. They switched to Danny Drinkwater at that point. I went tactically here. Actually, Keno, do yours, then I'll chat about mine quickly.
I didn't go tactically because I went with Leroy Sané from Germany.
He's up there with bad ones. That is quite bad.
I mean, I think we can all agree I've had some horrendous predictions.
It's really
I almost want to know what your
We've got
team
half
would
an
have been.
hour.
The fact
Again,
that you
though, I
picked him
feel-
out as your standout midfielder to stand out at the tournament. Like, who were the other guys?
I feel my rationale for Sané, though, was that I thought, well, Gomez didn't do much after he got injured. I thought Sané might be the guy to fill the void. Germany striker, not many strikers, but again, didn't happen.
Okay, so
I'll
I
stop
went.
predicting.
I went with who I thought would be top goal scorer at Lewandowski, underrated player Mandzukic, and Thomas Muller, who I predicted to be the overhyped player of the tournament. Because I thought if that one goes wrong, then he might get into team of the tournament, and I'll
Very
still get a
clever.
point. So I went
Very
tactically.
clever.
Now, random event. I'm gonna. You boys have kind of said that yours aren't that spectacular, whereas I'll leave
I
mine
mean,
till
mine's
the end.
spectacular if it happened.
Okay, Keno, we'll go to you first.
I wouldn't say mine would be spectacular. That's not the word that I would choose for mine. Mine
Okay.
was for Marcus Rashford, fresh from his goal against whoever it was in the friendly, to be thrust into the limelight by Roy Hodgson and to promptly get sent off a la Wayne Rooney at Euro 2004.
That could have happened.
I mean, that's
I
very
know, I
that
feel-
final Iceland
I
point.
feel like it could have been a rash moment, and we could have been the country
Rash
could have been
moment,
left.
very good.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was
Um,
intended or not. I don't think it was.
I'll
He's
say
not
it
that
was.
witty.
We'll give him a point for it.
But yeah, that was mine. I don't think it was totally out of the question.
Okay, now Jack, over to you.
I mean, I had two here, but I thought they'd happen in the same game, so I hope that's fine.
Okay, yeah, fine.
So the first one was that a rooster would invade the pitch and they wouldn't be able to get it off.
Why a rooster, Jack?
Well, I don't know, but moths invaded the final, so I feel like an animal did invade the pitch, and I'm not that far off.
Hang on. Hold on.
The rooster. There's not,
Roosters are attracted by light.
there's not even like a gene pool mix there. You can't go moth to rooster.
Not even the
My
same
point
sort
was,
of tree.
there was going to be an animal
Yeah.
invasion of a rooster. I mean, a moth landed on Ronaldo's face. I think that's closer than Kino's prediction to happening.
Jack predicted an animal invasion.
Okay, the other one I had was Eden Hazard in the final, well, not
That's
the
the name
final,
of the
but at
podcast,
some
sorry.
point, Hazard again, to get really angry and kick a ball boy.
Oh, he's done that before.
I know, exactly. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking he might get
Right.
impatient. The rooster's actually the ball boy. He's sat on the ball, not giving it back. Hazard's there in the corner, booting him.
Do you know, I thought one would be a bit out there, but Jack's animal invasion is just us beating it. I can't lie. Okay, so I wrote a bit of a monologue here for my prediction.
Is it a Dear Brendan?
No, it's a Dear Danny.
Oh, okay.
Ready?
Oh, special mention for Brendan before you begin.
Oh, we'll Kino, that's
We'll
coming
get
up.
on to
We'll
that.
save
That's coming
that.
up. Okay, so my random event was Danny Rose will score goal of the tournament. It'll be a volley from 30 yards. He'll get a big summer move to Manchester City and will win the league that season. People will compare Danny Rose to Roberto Carlos and everyone will agree that he's better than David Alaba. Danny Rose will then receive a knighthood. He will be Sir Daniel Lee Rose. He will collect the award with his family at the palace. The Queen won't attend because she'll be mourning the sad but peaceful death of Prince Philip. This will happen, and if it doesn't, I refuse to take part in the 2018 World Cup predictions. Thank you. Now, he had a shot in the first game that was close, and that was the moment for me.
But when you saw that, as he was about to hit it, you're like, this is it. The wheels are in motion.
I messaged Jim, like, I think we were in a call at the time or something. I messaged Jim,
would've-
like, blind panic, going, nearly happened.
I would have
Yeah.
started warning Prince Philip at that moment, actually.
Yeah.
Because
Philip
the
needs
chain
to
of
rather-
events was about to
rather
descend.
clock care as soon as I predicted that. So yeah, I didn't get it right. In essence, didn't get it right. So after 25 minutes of our opening predictions, people, let's talk about the final. Now, we didn't cover the semi-finals, but considering they were about a week and a half ago, you probably know what happened in those. But the final, boys, was Portugal's to win, and boy, did they win it. Did they steal it from France, though, Jack, or was it rightly theirs?
I think it really epitomised the tournament, this match. I feel like
did.
it was a game that was cagey. There weren't a lot of chances. There was some shocking finishing at times. Neither team really looked like they wanted to win it, and Portugal, as they have done a number of times throughout the knockout stages in the kind of extra time period, showed that they can stay switched on, and well, despite all their defending, they are capable of scoring a goal or two when it matters. And well, they did it again. I feel like when it went in, you kind of just thought, well, that was predictable. It kind of felt like it was going to happen throughout.
The big moment of the game, though, Kino, was the Ronaldo injury, and it lasted about.
You mean it wasn't the moth landing on his face?
Well, that was part of it. That was part of the saga that I think was the Ronaldo injury. It was strange because I think he got the initial injury, didn't he? And everyone thought at that point, oh, he's going to have to come off. And then he goes back on again. You're thinking, how long is this going to last then? And you wonder if they're going to keep him out there because it's Ronaldo, because of what he's offered, because of who he is, essentially. And then went down again. And as I tweeted out at the time, it's the only time in my football supporting career that I've ever had sympathy for a crying Cristiano Ronaldo.
I agree.
But at that moment, I was genuinely gutted for him because you could see how much it meant.
I think, I think he turned out to have done some medial ligament damage, possibly in his knee. I think that was what happened. So it was clear that he wouldn't be able to carry on as soon as he tried to come back on the pitch. And yeah, I did feel a bit of sympathy for him, which is rare for me, as you say, towards Cristiano Ronaldo. I think it did. The fact that was the standout moment, as you say, I think it probably was, sort of sums up the lack of quality in the final, and sort of what Portugal have embodied in going on to win this. I wasn't particularly impressed by the final in terms of quality, and I think France really. You said it was Portugal's to win. I think it was France's to win, and I think they bottled it.
Actually,
big time.
I think it was France's to lose.
Well, yeah.
That's why I said it, actually.
The onus was on France, and I think Deschamps has to take. Throughout this tournament, he's made a number of sort of big decisions. They've come off for him up until the final, and I think not going with Kante was the big mistake for this game. And I think his luck, I guess it was luck, sort of ran out in this game.
Yeah. Pre-game, obviously we didn't record a show before the game, but who did we think would win? I thought France would win it.
I did think France would win, yeah.
I had 10 quid on France at the start of the tournament. I was sat there for the match thinking, hopefully it wraps up in 90 minutes. I can order a pizza with my winnings.
I'll tell you what, England-France was the dream final for you, wasn't it?
It was.
Really
That's what I wanted. I thought France were going to win it.
Actually, you did predict France-England final.
I did, yeah. You guys are joking. I would have loved it.
Yeah, because you couldn't have lost that day, Jack. You could not have lost.
Well, I'm more upset now because I watched the game thinking pizza after the match. You know, my winnings straight in. France win the tournament, get pizza. Goes to extra time. I'm thinking, I'm not getting pizza tonight with my winnings. And then Eder scores. It's like, well, there's no pizza at all now.
Yeah, it was an unlikely source for the goal. I don't think anyone had any money on Eder scoring the winner. It was a strange, as Kino kind of says, it was a strange game. It was prolonged. It was echoed the tournament. It wasn't particularly exciting, and apart from Ronaldo sort of off-field antics, which became, for me, that was the main event, watching Ronaldo battle to who could be manager, the actual manager of Portugal, Fernando Santos, or Cristiano Ronaldo, who will take the team talk at full time. That was the real chat. Jack, did they deserve it, Portugal?
I mean, the fact that they got there and they defended well, it's hard to argue.
Yeah,
they didn't deserve it, but I did tweet out, I can't recall a team winning a major tournament like this, but having so many poor performances on the route to it. And that's more so looking, I guess, at the group stage game where I think you expect them to do a little bit better.
I agree with that because I think even Greece in 2004 won more games than Portugal did.
And they won games in regular time. Like, although they were beating everyone 1-0. They drew against Spain in the group stage as well, Greece. Like, they got some good results in context.
And I think that context of Portugal not really, as we say, not winning many games.
I mean, they finished third in their group, didn't they? Like,
without winning,
they wouldn't have even got through with that.
I think that is it's quite rare that a winner sort of really sums up the tournament in the way they play. And sort of the manner in which they've got to the final and won the damn thing. But I think Portugal did this time around because, I mean, we'll get on to talking about the tournament in general, but it was an underwhelming tournament, I think, in general. I feel like more drama, I mean, we were talking about Ronaldo's injury, more drama happened off the pitch than it did on it, and that was, I think, a reflection of sort of the fashion and the sort of the standard of the way that teams set up tactically now, and then also obviously, and a lot of people will say this, the way that the tournament expansion has sort of affected the standard of football.
A lot was made of that Portugal didn't win a game in their group stage. But were Portugal the biggest victim? I mean, we could look back now in hindsight and maybe say this, that were they the biggest victim of this new format? Because they were in a group that was fiercely competitive in that every team thought they had a bit of a chance. So, and part of that chance would obviously not be to beat Portugal, but to get something against Portugal and set yourself up to go through, which is essentially what every team that went through did. I think Austria were the only real example of a team that might have actually felt like we could beat this Portuguese side, and it didn't quite work out for them in the end. But for me, go on.
And I think actually, we talk about how Austria flopped. I mean, they might have been many people's dark horses. I think that they almost fell to the trap in that group of actually going out and trying to beat Portugal, thinking that would be the game that would send them through. If they'd have decided to shut up shop a little bit more, they might have progressed more. But yeah, I agree. I think the format has definitely impacted the way that the tournament played out in a number of ways. I think the majority of those were not good ones, but Portugal were definitely sort of a product of that.
But again, you can't really take a team that wins the tournament. You can't really. Well, I say, like, do they deserve it? Playing devil's advocate a little bit. I think they deserve it because you can't really win a tournament without deserving it, generally speaking. So in that respect, they do deserve
I agree
it.
With
but
that,
in terms of performances, I think you want to see more from a team that wins the tournament. You want to remember them. And I think I don't know what we'll talk about it in a moment, but I don't really know what the memorable point for Portugal is in this tournament. They didn't really have a moment where it was great. Even like their knockouts matches were quite dull, weren't they? They weren't standout games. Like even like the semi-final win against Wales should be like a huge moment for them, but it didn't feel like that. It felt a little bit underwhelming, maybe because Wales weren't quite at the races in that game.
The memorable moment, as we've said, will be that sort of Ronaldo, the tears of Ronaldo and him being on the side of the pitch.
They will be the pictures that follow this tournament around.
That will be the
next few years. That it was Ronaldo's tournament, but not because he was there winning it. He was there cheering on his team.
Although it should be said that I think he played his best tournament for Portugal this time around, and he was a big factor in them getting to putting them into the position to win it.
I'd agree.
While he didn't actually play a part, I was quite impressed with the way he handled himself throughout. Other than the silly kind of Iceland comments at the beginning, where I think he was quite rightly a little bit pissed off and a little bit sort of, oh God, is this how the rest of the tournament's going to be? other than that, I think he handled himself pretty well.
It was ironic
throughout,
that he said that, and then sort of Portugal's performances after that were just very similar to that first game, but it never really progressed.
Yeah,
I did think this tournament was quite interesting for Ronaldo, because I think there's this common misconception, perhaps, a lot of us are victims of it, have kind of seen Portugal as being this team that builds around Cristiano Ronaldo, and he sees himself very much as the star figure of this team. Whereas I think as this tournament progressed, what became more and more apparent was the fact that he doesn't necessarily have, obviously he has this arrogance of his ability, but in terms of with his team, it's not like he expects everyone to pass the ball through to him. It's not like he expects to be the star player in a Sunday League team. He very much was an out-and-out captain for this team, and the final really epitomised that, I think, when he came off, just how involved he was in the match still, and the fact he did go around all the players at the start of extra time. And I thought that was quite telling, and I think it's perhaps a climax and kind of showing the evolution of Cristiano Ronaldo as an individual. When you think back to kind of when he emerged on the scene at Manchester United, he got the big move to Real Madrid. There was perhaps an arrogance about him, and I almost feel like it's gone a little bit full circle. And obviously, he is an experienced international at this point, and certainly an experienced player. And I think this kind of tournament for him really kind of it almost brings his career not full circle, but I feel like it shows kind of what we can expect to see from him now.
It's
kind
a
of
nice
going
closure
forward.
for him.
Exactly.
It's funny that we said before, when we were kind of previewing the Wales semi-final in the podcast last week, and then we sort of talked about Portugal. We did mention how we weren't really sure how whether or not Portugal and Santos really had a handle on how to use Ronaldo. Turned out in the the final, that without him, they pretty much played the same way. He was almost a sort of a part that functioned separate to the rest of the Portuguese system, just to sort of occasionally add a moment of magic, and it's. The evidence now shows that perhaps that was the best way to do it.
I think when you look at Ronaldo's career now, I think it'll be because of this tournament, because of the way he spoke to Moutinho about the penalty shootout and the way that he was in this final. I think his career will be viewed slightly differently now. I think people will remember this as the defining moment where it wasn't all about him, actually, and that he was not, I know an injury slightly different from him stepping aside, but he allowed his team to flourish without him there, and they did do that, and they essentially won it for him in that regard. He's this world-class player. He's their captain. He's their main man. And the one time he wasn't there when they arguably needed him most, they still managed to pull through. And I think that's quite a touching way to end a tournament and a final. So well done Portugal, essentially. Yeah, good, great.
Yeah.
Well done Portugal, succeeding in a fairly
let's
unexceptional
talk about the tournament as a whole. And it was, I think, when you enter a tournament, you want to be optimistic about it. You want to be excited by it. And I think for the first sort of couple of weeks, the games weren't great, but I was still enjoying the fact we had some Euros on. I enjoy international football of this standard usually. I think that I'm just going to come out and say it, gentlemen. I think that the format is shit, and I don't think it helps. And I wanted to give it a chance, and I feel like this tournament is an example of what happens when you make it it's almost easier to qualify than go out. And that's not necessarily a good thing, because you want the elite there. And in the last 16, we didn't get that, and in the group stages, we certainly didn't get that. Boys, what thoughts on the sort of the format of it?
There are two ways, I think. There are two sort of different strands of thinking. I agree. I think the tournament as a whole was underwhelming. Not just the football throughout pretty much was.
Thing is, I feel like you can blame the format, but the game was still the games were still poor into the knockout stages. It wasn't it was just limited to the group stage.
This is what I'm going to say. The games were poor going into throughout the knockout stages as well. I think there's sort of two ways two things that are responsible. First was the format in the groups. It did make for very negative football in the group stage, and I think that set the tone for the rest of the tournament. The second, and this is what I really wanted to talk about on this podcast today, was kind of the way that I think teams set up now. There was a very good article, I will shout out because it was a really good read by Jonathan Wilson. I think it was in The Guardian, where he I think I retweeted it actually. I can plug my Twitter that way, but it was a great article. Talking about how this tournament, I mean, we've seen tactically this kind of style evolve in the Champions League, and obviously with Leicester winning the league, this was sort of the death, I think, of possession football as a way to win tournaments, because we saw at the top level the best international teams, and I think the fact that Germany didn't win it and sort of faltered in that France game was almost the kind of the full demonstration of that. we saw teams that are more comfortable, elite level, top level European teams, your France's, your Portugal's as well, who actually won the thing, more comfortable out of possession and looking to counter-attack than we did the teams who actually wanted to get on the ball and try and dominate the game. And I think that's fine for smaller sides, and you expect your Icelands and teams like Wales and Northern Ireland to a certain extent to want to do that and have to do that against the good teams. But we see the top level teams who should be the ones who are really playing the attacking football and trying to win matches more comfortable, I think, in conceding possession and sitting back. And when two of those teams come together, as they often did, it just resulted in a dull game. And I think that was absolutely prevalent throughout many of the knockout stages
in the
tournament.
So, Jack, and I'll come to you on this, is that the format essentially sets up teams to play in a certain way, and it's very difficult to then change that as you go into knockout games because you're fearful that, oh wow, the other team going to set up defensively. That's all we've faced so far. So because of the way the format is with the group stages, that 3 teams go through, and we saw teams go through with 3 points. We saw the winners of the tournament get through their group without winning a game, which should never happen, in my opinion.
I mean, they only won one game in the entire tournament
then I think
in 90 minutes.
That gives a mindset to every other team. And Portugal kept that mindset throughout the tournament, that they actually obviously felt like, oh man, we're going to have to equally defend here to get through games. And Portugal essentially became what they hated to begin with, because that's what they faced for 3 games. And that's how they developed their style of play throughout the tournament. And it just worked for them because they knew that, oh, actually, it's quite hard to break this down. So let's just become that.
I think, quick, before, obviously, Jack, you can go in a sec, but just to kind of reply to that, I think it was probably about 60% that. I agree. I think it set the tone because teams set up initially that way. But also, we did see this kind of reflection of what we've seen in the club game on the international level, with just the prevalence of counter-attacking football and teams not wanting to try and take the game by the scruff of the neck and win it. I think England, to be fair to England, I think we failed by not being able to take that approach and replicate it. Yeah,
I kind of feel like this tournament, in a lot of ways, shows. I don't want to say what's wrong with European football, but I feel like European football at the highest level, there are a lot of teams who are scared to attack. And I think one of the things that made the World Cup 2 years ago so good was you had so many clashes of styles. You had teams from North America, South America, teams who aren't going to defend. They're going to go for it, and if it blows up in their faces like it did for Brazil against Germany, so be it. You look at some of the teams like Costa Rica.
A good example of that.
People might draw comparisons between Costa Rica winning the group and obviously Iceland going through. The reality is that Costa Rica played very much on the front foot and tried to play kind of attacking flair football. I think the issue at European level is it's very pragmatic almost in the way the teams set up. Teams always seem to try and set up just to get the result they need, and obviously that's the whole point in football. But it does leave, I think, particularly in European football, a lot of teams at stalemates, particularly when you consider how similar the football is that's played by a lot of the national teams. You see the same shapes deployed by a number of teams. And it's a real shame, really, because when you compare that to the Champions League, which obviously is made up of European teams with just a few more X factors in terms of players from afar, the options open up. Whereas I feel like this tournament, no doubt for me, that the format has marred it and resulted in some of the draws we've seen. The group stage, obviously, I don't think it was particularly great, and I think most people would agree with that. But no one really looked like they really wanted to go and attack it, and basically teams were waiting for the other team to make a mistake instead of trying to force the mistake in a lot of ways by having the ball and attacking.
You mentioned the World Cup in 2014. I would think of Costa Rica was a good example. I would say Chile as well, and Mexico. Not all of which, not that many players from European leagues. Obviously, they had the standout stars, but they brought in a different style to it, and we did see that clash of styles. I think European football, ever since really Mourinho's Inter Milan, when they realised they could beat Barcelona, this is mentioned a little bit in that article I said, when they realised they could beat Barcelona, of the Pep Guardiola Barcelona, by playing this really negative style and win Champions Leagues doing it, I think it has begun to spread throughout the top level of the European game, and it was this tournament where we saw that fully sort of shown on the international level.
Style, actually, I would say wasn't that
and Atletico Madrid as well, for all their
I don't think it was interesting with Portugal, actually, that I think it was something like 11 out of the 14 players who made appearances in the final came from the Sporting
That's
Lisbon
interesting.
Academy.
Ronaldo obviously one of those as well. That's good.
Facts.
Thanks, chat. Hashtag facts. I like that. Overall, then, how would you rate it out of 10? Let's do that. How would you rate the tournament out of 10?
I mean, if one is
Villa's
season.
season.
Okay, and
10 is
then
Leicester
10 is
season.
Leicester
How would you
season.
rate it?
I mean, how can that metric be used to measure how
Well, I would
entertaining
say
a
like
tournament
6,
was?
5 or 6, because it was alright. There's some nice moments. There's some nice storylines. France getting to a final, I think it's quite nice. Some of the underdogs doing well. Wales getting to a semi-final, I think there were some nice things.
I think 4, but based not on the matches, but actually on the storylines. I feel like the matches themselves, there's very few for me that in 2 years' time
Yeah,
I'm
like
even going to
5.
remember.
I'll come out to 5.
Yeah,
Coming down.
I would say 4 or 5.
At the same
yeah.
time, I feel like there's a few storylines that this tournament will be remembered for, such as Iceland getting far, England crashing out, France losing in the final, obviously Portugal winning it in the manner that they did. But I feel like it's a shame that this tournament's going to be remembered for those moments, kind of those overarching kind of plot lines that kind of were part of this tournament, rather than the individual moments and certain matches that, as much as you don't want to lose 7-1, you want a Brazil v Germany kind of game, something that is a moment that like you feel like you're witnessing history. And I've got to be honest, when I was watching this Euros, I felt like the only history I was witnessing was the most boring tournament in my lifetime.
This might sound mad, but there wasn't a great deal amount of like really exciting wing play this year. Despite the fact teams play on the counter, I don't feel like there were many players. You look at players gone by that produced that. Like my actual thought process is the Dutch team have had that for a few years. Players like Robin, we didn't see someone like that in this tournament. Like Bale kind of did it, but he was playing a bit more centrally, and I feel like Nani tried a little bit, but we didn't have lots of teams with flying wingers. And you think about these teams like Colombia and Colombia and Costa Rica and Chile and teams like that. That's what they have. They basically defend by attacking, and we didn't see, as you both said, we didn't really see that in this tournament, and that hampered it quite a lot. Teams weren't looking to win; teams were looking not to go out, and I think that's the thing that kind of sums up this tournament. Shall we? Jack?
I should say, tournament had some great goals. That's why I've given it a 4. I think the goals. Probably it's either Robson Kanu or Shaqiri. I feel like I've got to give it to Kanu, just based on the whole scenario.
Goal of the tournament was given to Zoltan Kira. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. The one against Portugal, the first one. I don't even remember it.
Yeah. I mean,
no.
I would have had Shaqiri.
I'd go Shaqiri.
I feel like when it comes to goal of the tournament, they should factor in like the scenario behind it, because like scoring against Portugal in a group,
winners. I'd go Shaqiri though. I thought Shaqiri was great. Or Daniel Sturridge's. Right, let's move on then. Now we've crowned Daniel Sturridge goal of the tournament. I think we should stick with England for a bit, gentlemen. We are England fans. We've given our Euro chat and our 40.
Oh, we're back.
I should say before people tune out going, oh fucking hell, England again. Thank you for watching these Euro shows. Hopefully you've enjoyed them. Obviously, they weren't as frequent as we kind of wanted them to be, but the Premier League season, it's not actually that far away now, really, is it?
Not ready yet.
We'll have some preview shows. We've got a little bit of a break. We'll throw in a few Olympic shows, talk about the rhythmic gymnastics.
We could do a show about our Wembley experience, Jack, maybe. And then Keno can start early with his championship roundup. I mean, are Villa favourites for the competition?
Keno, I want you to make a Vine account and just give us 5-second summaries of every single Villa game for the season.
Just reviews Villa. Yeah.
It's just every week. I just want a 5-second review of your emotions. Then at the end of the year, we'll stitch them all together.
Or we could, if not Vine itself, we could do a sort of segment like
dear Roberto, I'm thinking. Right, let's talk about England then. There is talk that Sam Allardyce has had an interview, and we should clarify at this stage, listeners, that when this comes out, which will probably be the 14th, I would guess, he may not be getting the job. We don't really know, but we're going to talk about the possibility of him getting it and the potential candidates for said job. Now, For the Fans podcast are split-opinioned on this particular matter. So, Jack, Sam Allardyce for England. Are you up for that?
I mean, I've been up for that for the last, since Bolton. Since the Bolton days. When Sven left, I was thinking Allardyce
that he wanted Allardyce
People
to be
thought I was mad.
Do you remember this?
I feel like Allardyce, he's never done it like he's never had a chance at international level, but I think he could be an international manager. I feel like he doesn't necessarily make the greatest signings. I think he gets a lot out of the players he has. He knows how to win. And I think a little bit like Chris Coleman, who has certainly wavered at club level, which I think is unfair on Sam Allardyce, because I think he's done a job at, for example, Sunderland,
it's a good example,
West Ham, in terms of taking them on to the next level and just ensuring them what was wanted of him. He's not a manager who's been frequently sacked. I feel like give him the tools, give him the reins of the England side, give him the steering wheel. He'll get Danny Drinkwater in the car. They'll be driving off. And I think he's the kind of person who isn't going to falter at the hands of kind of the media. He's not going to feel that pressure because he's kind of used to it in a lot of ways. Obviously, it is a different task being England manager compared to being a Premier League manager. But I think there's that familiarity about it. And all in all, I just feel like at this point, there aren't that many great managers who are going to want this poison chance, which is the England job. And I think Sam Allardyce is the kind of person who, I think he could make something happen. I think he could give us some hope.
Keno? Are you coming to me first?
What do you think, Ben? No. We'll go back.
I think England and the FA have got an opportunity to maybe be a little bit more adventurous and step out of the box a little bit. We spoke about it last time round that Hodgson was a safe candidate, and I feel like what Jack has just described is another safe candidate that will get us through a qualifying, and then we'll crash out of a tournament again. And I feel like that's going to be the case every time we decide to make the safe choice. Now, I'd honestly rather see us pick someone that we kind of don't know much about. And with Allardyce, we know a lot about him, but he's not done that much. Like, he's not a bad manager by any means. And I think, as I say, he'll probably do a relatively good job. He probably will. Do you know what? Him in charge, we probably might have got through against Iceland. But after that point, we're still going out against France. We're not giving France a good game. And I think we need to find managers, or at least appoint managers, that give us a better chance in those scenarios.
I feel like to say that he wouldn't give France a good game, obviously it's all speculation, but I feel like that's a very speculative thing to say.
Because I don't think he's tactically good enough. I don't think he's tactically aware enough. I don't think he's sorry, I should clarify straight away that I don't think he's tactically bad. I think tactically he's not dreadful at all. I think he gets the best out of the things he's given. But England's not, like, as much as we say we overhype England, there's some very good footballers within this England side that we're not getting the best out of, and I don't know if he is the man to get us out of that. And I think there are other options available. There's one in particular that I do think we should approach, but won't approach because I don't know why. We just won't approach Frank de Boer, who I think would be a great option for us. And I think going to Allardyce is just a sideways move from Roy Hodgson, and in 4 years' time we'll be sat having the same conversation about why it's not worked. And Eddie Howe will be forced into the role, or Eddie Howe won't have achieved as much as we think he will do, and he won't be in the conversation anymore, and it'll be Pardew.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, Ben, on all of those points. I think the De Boer appointment could be a potentially interesting one, although I didn't think he would ever accept the England job. But I think that solving the problem of English football and the academies and the way that we have a root and branch review of English football after every tournament exit, I think that is a different problem to the one that Sam Allardyce, and this is why I'm kind of supportive of it, is a different problem to the one that I think he'll solve. I think while you make a good point that we may there's a possibility that coming up against a better team, say France, we would come up tactically short. I think in the tournament that we've just seen, I'm not sure you have to be outthinking people tactically to win, particularly the way that other big teams are playing. I think Allardyce brings a degree of pragmatism that Hodgson doesn't have.
Why? Why do you think? But I get why part of me can see why you're saying that, because he's a Premier League manager, and in the Premier League you kind of have to do that. You have to change game to game.
I think he's certainly. I mean, we spoke about Hodgson's Premier League experience. I think Allardyce has a much better pedigree in the Premier League.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you really?
Because
Hodgson's finished higher up in the Premier League than Allardyce.
Yeah, but I think
with a team that's arguably weaker.
I think Allardyce consistently has shown that he's able, with the tools that he has, to get results against the odds in the Premier League, which is tough. And I think
if he was a better manager, why hasn't he been in a bigger position?
Because I don't think his style is attractive to a team that might say. You mentioned, I mean, we discussed this before the show. You mentioned Antonio Conte, right? Allardyce is not a fashionable manager for a team like that, who can throw a lot of money to a manager who does not do a dissimilar thing and didn't in this Euros to what Allardyce does with players. Allardyce is able to, for all his faults, of which he's limited, and the England team itself are limited. He is able to sort of adapt and mould players, whoever they might be. And I think this England team is probably more bereft of ego than ones in the past, so he might find that a little bit easier. He's able to mould teams into a system and make sure that they stick to that system. And I think while it's very noble, and this is a problem that can be solved.
It'll be called up. Carry on.
Well, yeah, possibly, but it's a very noble sort of attempt to try and play good football and to instill this culture of, say, Spanish or German football in the long term. What we need right now is someone who can be pragmatic.
No, I don't want pragmatic though. I just want effective. Now you might say that's a very similar thing, but I don't think Allardyce's football is the most effective style of football, because he's not playing with players that are coming from like relegation threatened teams or anything like that. He's supposed to be playing with or coaching, essentially managing the elite of those teams. Now you talk about the players that are in the England squad this tournament. There aren't any that I can think of off the top of my head that were in a relegation battle. There weren't any from the bottom 4 teams that were put in. The only one that was close was maybe Andros Townsend, is the one I can think of. But aside from that, he had players from the teams in the top 3, top 6. And Allardyce hasn't got experience of managing those players. That's the fear for me.
I think the job of a manager is to get the most out of the pieces that you're given. It's very much a case. Think of it this way.
But what makes you think he can do it with these players? That's
the example I give is it's a bit like scrap heap challenge. Bear with me because it's going to be a bit of a weird analogy.
God. I'll tell you what, we should call the England team scrap heap challenge.
I mean, that would start far. But with a manager, you're essentially trying to build an organic machine made up of players in the best possible way, putting each player in their most efficient part as an individual, whilst they'll still contribute to the overall mechanism of like a functioning squad. Sam Allardyce has repeatedly built solid machines that have been able to do stuff in the Premier League in terms of get at least what is expected of them. The only job I could ever say I think he ever really failed at is probably the Newcastle United job that he had for a little while.
It was an uncomfortable situation.
But I think the exception of that, when you look at the teams that he's been given and what he's got out of them, particularly most recently with Sunderland, I think to say, you couldn't do it with bigger players is a little bit of nonsense, particularly in an international job when it's not so much about the man management and dealing with egos of players wanting to move on to other teams. This is a job for someone who needs to get a team together that can perform to a match plan and achieve a common goal. I think he's shown he can do it with worse players, and I think to say as an international manager you can't do that with bigger players isn't entirely correct.
But sorry, Keenan, I'm sorry. But what my point is here with Allardyce, right, is that he's taking players that play in these systems under Pochettino and Arsene Wenger and this season Mourinho and Guardiola and Klopp, who don't play an Allardyce style of football, that are going to be like sort of drafted in to play a completely different way.
Is Allardyce's style of football his own philosophy, or is it a philosophy that he's ingrained in his teams because of the teams he's managed? And I think it's the latter.
But you can't do that in international football.
He's never had the players to play a Pochettino system. He's always been playing with teams and being dealt a pretty shit hand and trying to make the most of them.
Jack, Allardyce has spent plenty of money in his time and he could build squads to play in a different style if he wants to, but he chooses not to. He chooses to play in a style which is essentially, and this is probably a little bit disrespectful, it's a little bit easy. Is that we're going to play quite direct. We're going to make sure our fullbacks defend, our defenders are strong, and our wingers get forward, and we've got a big man up top. That's essentially how he plays, and the system that he invokes.
I feel like the mistake England's made in the past, though, is we've tried to sign managers who promise sexy football. We've tried to take managers who have played at managed fairly big sides who are experienced. Capello springs to mind. I think Ericsson follows a similar mould in some ways with that.
I don't think McLaren, Ericsson maybe to a degree, but I don't think McLaren, Capello, or Hodgson have ever been complimented as playing sexy football.
It's not about playing sexy football, but it's about playing a style of football that gets results.
It's something that when England go out and sort of in the lead up to tournaments, it's something that we talk about and the media do talk about. It's something that we desire, and I think that filters through to the managers in the past. That we do want a nice style of play, and I don't. Again, Ben, I feel what you're trying to say in the long term is something that I agree with. But right now, with this squad of players that we have, I don't think that style of football is attainable. And I would simply point to the tournament that we've just been talking about, where a team with players from all around the continent, from many top teams in Europe, one of the best players of all time. We've got people like Nani and Renato Sanchez, who are all playing at top European teams, have played a limited style. They bought into it and they've ended up winning the tournament. Now, they might not have won it on a good day, on another day, but they probably would have gone quite deep because they were very well organised. And I feel that with this current team, Allardyce would be able to at least give that degree of organisation that in the current sort of international football climate, where it is quite limited, as we've mentioned throughout the show, I think he would be able to do that. I think the problem and sort of the challenge for English football in terms of coaching and whether we could move to a system that is more like the vintage Spain years or even Germany right now, that is a long-term problem that I think will take a decade or more to sort of solve.
So what you and Jack are essentially saying is that
I'm happy now.
But are you happy because he's like the obvious candidate, or are you happy because you think he's the best man for this job?
I don't think there's many people who are going to want this poison chalice right now.
Yeah, but that's not. But as an FA, Jack, you can't look like that. You can't look at it as it's a poison chalice. As the FA, you've got to dress it up as much as you can. So this is the dream job.
Oh, of course, but I think no one is under any illusions that that's the case. I feel like if you look at this team, who is going to want to take this job now? You're not going to get in a De Boer. Why the fuck would De Boer want to come and manage a team that just failed and fallen as flat on its face as England has?
Because if he sees a group of young players that he feels he can mould and develop and then push on to the next generation,
but I don't think
that might
does.
be something that really appeals to him.
I get that from looking at the England team.
Well, he did that at Ajax. He looked at the Ajax team and thought, I can take this another step forward, and he won 40 titles with them.
It's like comparing, I don't know, something brand new with a pile of shit on a heap. Like, the England squad is crap. We've seen that the players can't perform at big tournaments. I think it's going to take someone to go, this is how we're going to play, this is the game plan, let's play it. I feel like if you look at the list of managers, if the FA were to draft it now, a list of managers to try and get in, I think the top of the realistic pile is probably a Sam Allardyce or a manager of a similar calibre.
But you think the England squad's crap and I don't.
I think
that's the difference.
I think the England squad's crap.
You just said it.
No, but I think the England players and their performance was crap. I think there's some potential in the team there, but I don't think managers are going to look and go, that's potential there. But they're going to look at the last tournament and go, that's crap. And I think that's the problem. You seem to be anti-Allardyce, which, that's fair enough.
No, I'm pro-England, Jack. I'm not anti-Allardyce, I'm pro-England.
Well, who would you want to have in? Like, realistically, De Boer is not going to want this job.
I mean, he's in the top 10 people rumored to be able to get the job.
Who else?
People, I mean, I could list you a name, reel off a list of names I don't want, like Pardew. Don't want Pardew. Don't want Harry Redknapp. Don't particularly want Gary Neville after he's recently been involved. Don't think it's right time for Eddie Howe right now. Don't think he should take it. There's plenty of names I can list off that I don't want to get it, and I think Allardyce might be the best of the names I don't want. But is that enough to be England manager? Like he's the top. Okay, Allardyce is at the top of the list of managers I don't want, but I would still think. Go on then.
Before Jack unleashed on you, then you asked the question as to whether Sam Allardyce is just the best of a bad bunch, or whether he is the sort of the best, the ideal candidate right now, right? And I actually think that someone of his skill set, the way that he's, I mean, it might. I am as an England fan looking for that. For someone who can be pragmatic and win at all costs. I don't care about the football that England play right now. I would like to see us do well at a tournament.
I agree.
If that means playing like Portugal did and getting to a semi and then going out to Germany because we're not as good as Germany, I'd be happy with a semi-final because I think our expectations are that low right now. But if a manager with the same kind of record as Allardyce came up, then I'd say, maybe he could be another option. I don't think, if looking at English managers, I think Pardew has the same skills. I think Redknapp would just be a joke, quite frankly. And other than those three, when you really think about it, obviously I don't think Gary Neville's ready. You're right to say that. There aren't that many English managers. Now, we could go to the foreign thing, sort of the foreign school of thought, but many people don't want that. And it seems as though the FA are going after another English manager. And then if you narrow it down to that field, I think Allardyce in the short term is probably the man who could do it.
I mean, the top three foreign managers are Klinsmann, Hiddink and Wenger. Don't want any of them. I'd rather have Allardyce over any of them, if I'm honest.
I think I would.
But you would agree that all three of them are better managers than Sam Allardyce?
I don't think they're better suited to this job necessarily, no.
Well, certainly Jurgen Klinsmann has not done particularly well in the US. I mean, I don't know how many American listeners we have, but I'm not sure they'd speak very highly.
I should clarify, I'm not all for Klinsmann. No. I should clarify, Klinsmann's not necessarily on the list of players.
Hiddink or Wenger would be interesting, and I feel as though they would be better suited to, as I said, there's a short-term and a long-term problem. There's the short-term with this current squad, how can we do better in the World Cup than we did this time around? How can we actually play to our potential a little bit? And I think Allardyce would go some way to solving that. The long-term problem of English football as a whole, I think would be better solved with a man like maybe Wenger or Hiddink Possibly not in the
my issue with
managerial
those
job.
managers is though, I don't know if they're long-term managers. A lot of the
Well,
managers.
but Allardyce isn't a long-term manager.
No, he's not.
Oh, he's
but that's
not,
with
but-
a purpose.
But I feel like he would achieve something short-term, whereas I feel like you look at Wenger's managerial jobs, it's always been about the long-term project.
But Allardyce's
Arsenal.
long-term achievements have been surviving relegation. This is the England team.
But
This
it's
is the
the
best
jobs
players
that
of
he's
the
wanted.
nation.
It's the situation he's thrived under. He's thrived under that pressure of trying to achieve something that is, or does certainly look out of reach. You look at what he did with, for example, Sunderland this year.
Yeah,
As
I
a
think
prime example of that. He
scaled
got-
up.
But he would never get, like, look at the jobs that are available now, right? He would never get linked to the Everton job or the Southampton job. Like and they're like the managers that are
But
they're
the
attracted
thing is,
to those
the
jobs.
managers who end up at those clubs would never be linked with the England job because
But we
they
are-
wouldn't want
but-
to go to
But
England.
we are the Southampton and Everton of international football. They're the managers that are linked with those jobs are the managers that we should be looking at for England. And ironically enough, this is I didn't plan that, but Frank de Boer is like tipped to be in the frame for the Southampton job. Someone like Koeman that's just gone to Everton would have been great for England.
None of those managers would want to come to England.
But that's not the point. We've just thrown like 12 million at Hodgson over 4 years. Make him want to come to us. That should be the goal.
I'd rather get a manager in who believes in the project and isn't here to collect one paycheck from a major tournament.
You sound like Brendan Rodgers for your project there, Jack. I think that Conte at Italy is the example that I can think of a young manager who is at the top of his game, and even he has only given Italy one tournament. I think if we went for someone like that and threw a load of money at someone, someone like a Diego Simeone, for God's sake, or like a top-level manager, or even one of those in sort of the Tier 2 domestic teams, we would only have them for a couple of years at least.
But Jack,
most,
what's the bigger job out of Everton, Southampton and England?
I think for a foreign manager managing in the Premier League, unfortunately, and I think that says a lot about the state of England as a nation.
I don't necessarily agree.
Well, I don't know what to say to that other than the managers who've been in those jobs aren't even been given a shout in the Premier League. With England. They're not even being linked with those jobs because they wouldn't want to take it.
That's because do you know why? Because we've had to sit here and watch Roy for 4 years, so they don't have the opportunity. But I bet next time round they're linked when Allardyce.
I think this discussion sort of demonstrates the divided nature of the English game at the moment,
and Britain for that matter. I think it decides Britain.
This has got political. Let us know in the comments, like listeners, or on Twitter if you're listening on iTunes, like at For the Fan Show. Allardyce, yay, nay? Who would you have instead? Like, what do you make the England
realistic pick?
Good news for you, Jack, is that due to our lack of freedom of movement in 2 years, De Boer won't be able to come anyway.
No,
so
it's fine.
It'll have to be Allardyce.
Take
right
back
then.
control of the England team.
Before we go on for another 2 hours, we'll wrap. I think we're going to continue this after the show, but we'll wrap it up here. Jack, thank you for joining me. It is a pleasure.
No worries. I'm looking forward to the Premier League shows whenever they are. When does the Premier League season start? Do we have a date?
I do believe it's the 13th, 14th, if I'm not mistaken. The week after. I think it could be, yes.
What, in a
You seem
month?
shocked. I mean, I'll double check just to be sure.
I think it is. I'm just excited for football.
Yeah, 13th and 14th.
I thought we had like 2 months off, but no.
Hull versus Leicester kick us off.
Hull are going to win it and then go on to win the Premier League.
Liverpool play Arsenal that weekend, and Arsenal have got like 5 key players missing. It's going to be great.
Sheffield Wednesday.
They've got there in the Premier League. That's going to be bizarre.
They're not. They're playing Villa.
Oh wait, no, they're not. They lost.
My
brain.
Middlesbrough.
Thank you.
It's a 4:30 on a Sunday, Kino, which means you're going to miss Liverpool. No, it's the week before. No, mind. No, sorry,
it's fine. That's what we do.
The preview show for the Premier League will actually be a championship.
Indeed,
intro.
we will do 4 or 5 preview shows to the Premier League fixtures or to the fixtures teams and go through them all.
Do you want to get some guests in for that, Ben? Like we did.
I might hit up a few contacts I've got. Kino, you never know.
Kino's not going to be here anyway, so.
So yeah, you can't get involved in that anymore. You can come on the Astor. Oh, no, never mind. Right then, yes, that brings us to the end. Kino, thank you for joining me.
Mid-table, Ben. Mid-table this year.
We will see. Yeah, well, you told that last year. We Love With Care from me, Jack, Kino, and myself. We'll see you again. We're on iTunes, we're on YouTube,
I'm
going to
go and calm down Jack now, because I feel he's got a little bit... I've got a wet flannel ready to calm down Jack.
Thank you.
Ding, ding. I'm ready for round 2. Listeners, thank you. We'll see you again soon. We Love With Care from me, that's been Jan the Game. Right.